I'm live. Let me see if I can unplug this. I think I can. I think I got enough juice. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is your girl, Pastor Courage Molina, coming to you with day 23 of daily Bible reading. We are reading in Genesis. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're reading Genesis 32 through 34. Let me make sure. I just typed it in, but still, even though I just typed it in, I'm like, are we? Yeah, we are. Genesis 32 through 34. I got my hair braided still. It's still my morning time. I'm not really working just yet, you know? All right, chapter 32. As Jacob started on his way again, angels of God came to meet him. When Jacob saw them, he exclaimed, "This is God's camp." So he named the place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau, who was living in the region of Seir in the land of Edom. He told them, "Give this message to my master Esau. Humble greetings from your servant Jacob. Until now, I have been living with Uncle Laban, and now I own cattle, donkeys, flocks of sheep and goats, and many servants, both men and women. I have sent these messengers to inform my lord of my coming, hoping that you will be friendly to me." After delivering the message, the messengers returned to Jacob and reported, "We met your brother Esau, and he is already on his way to meet you with an army of 400 men." Sheesh. Jacob was terrified at the news. He divided his household along with the flocks and herds and camels into two groups. He thought, if Esau meets one group and attacks it, perhaps the other group can escape. Then Jacob prayed, "O God of my grandfather Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, you told me, return to your own land and to your relatives. And you promised me, I will treat you kindly. And I'm not worthy of all the unfailing love and faithfulness you have shown to me, your servant. When I left home and crossed the Jordan River, I owned nothing except a walking stick. Mm. Now my household fills two large camps. O Lord, please rescue me from the hand of my brother Esau. I'm afraid that he is coming to attack me along with my wives and children. But you promised me I will surely treat you kindly, and I will multiply your descendants until they become as numerous as the sands along the seashore, too many to count. Jacob stayed where he was for the night. Then he selected these gifts from his possessions to present to his brother Esau: 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 male donkeys. He divided these animals into herds and assigned each to different servants. Then he told his servants, "Go ahead of me with the animals, but keep some distance between the herds." He gave these instructions to the men leading the first group: "When my brother Esau meets you, he will ask, 'Whose servants are you? Where are you going? Who owns these animals?' You must reply, 'They belong to your servant Jacob, but they are a gift for his master Esau. Look, he is coming right behind us.'" Jacob gave the same instructions to the second and third herdsmen and to all who followed behind the herds. "You must say the same thing to Esau when you meet him, and be sure to say, 'Look, your servant Jacob is right behind us.'" Jacob thought, "I will try to appease him by sending gifts ahead of me. When I see him in person, perhaps he will be friendly to me." So the gifts were sent on ahead, while Jacob himself spent the night in the camp. This is so good to me. Y'all be sure to like this video if y'all like this video. This is so good to me. He's getting ready. So the Lord gave him a word. He's getting ready to return back to his home where he cheated his brother out of his birthright and out of his blessing, completely manipulated his dad, lied, all of that, right? And then he ran away. Then he was gone for 20 years. right? He worked 7 years for Rachel, but got Leah. Then he worked another 7 years. Then he stayed and he worked another 6 years, right? So he was there for 20 years doing all of that, working for 20 years for his uncle Laban. Now the Lord is telling him to go back to the land that he promised, and he told him the same promise that he told his dad. And so now he's returning back. He's the first one that I can remember of this bloodline, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that reminds God of his promise, right? So Abraham and Isaac, they go to the land where God is telling them to go, and they lie when they get there and say that their wife is their sister. Why? Because they were afraid that the men were going to like the wife and then kill them. Jacob reminds God of his promise. Now I'm getting ready to go back here. Now I sent these men ahead of me, and they're telling me that Esau is coming with an army of 400 men. But you are the one who told me to go back, God. You are the one who said that you would do this. I am not worthy. He don't have the attitude that Job had, like, I haven't done anything wrong and you've done this horrible thing. He's reminding God of what he said, though. He's reminding God that you were the one who told me to go back, and you were the one who said you were going to bless me, and I am thoroughly unworthy and undeserving of these blessings that you have blessed me with. But again, God, you are the one who said you were going to do it. So I am asking you to intercede on my behalf. That right there, I love. And then after he prayed, okay, because faith is not just whether or not we go to God in prayer. After he prayed, he then went and set up and started to send gifts to his brother Esau. Sometimes we pray that we'll get the job, but then we don't really prep for the job. Sometimes we pray that somebody will, accept us, or, forgive us or whatever, but we just go back with our hand out. You understand what I'm saying? I love that not only did he go, was he honest about his fear, he reminded God of who he was and what he promised. He prayed to God and asked him to help, and then he sent the man gifts. He was honest, he confessed his fear, he reminded God of the promise he made him. He asked God for help. He didn't just say, you said you was going to do this. You said you were going to do this. I need you to intercede. I need you to change his heart so that he is receiving of us. He didn't just pray and leave it at that. He asked God to do this thing, and then his deeds, right? His deeds then back that up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send some gifts ahead of me, cuz I know I wronged him. I know that I don't deserve the blessings that I've had. I know I don't deserve XYZ, but God, you are sending me back home. I need you to intercede for me, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send some gifts. So, God, I need you to do what I can't do, but I'm going to do what I can do. I love that he didn't send it all in one thing, right? We often talk about repetition, the importance of repetition when it comes to studying the word. This is some repetition, right? I wonder how many times Esau might have played over in his head what his brother did. I wonder if Jacob's thinking about how many times Esau might have went over in his head what he did to him. And so instead of just sending one company of gifts, he sent several company of gifts, and they were all to repeat the same thing. These are from Jacob for his lord Esau. This is from your servant Jacob. Let me go back. You must say the same thing to Esau, and be sure to look at your servant. Let me go back. You must reply, they belong to your servant Jacob, but they are a gift for his master Esau. They belong to your servant. First off, Jacob's the servant, right? But they're a gift for his master Esau. That again makes Jacob the servant. It's a repetition. I'm the servant, you the master. Here go the gifts. I'm here to serve, you the master. Here go the gifts. I know I did you wrong. I know I did you wrong. I did you so wrong. But the Lord is calling me to come back. The Lord is telling me to go back. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to be received. So let me say this. I absolutely love it. Then get to verse 22. During the night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 servant wives, and his 11 sons, and crossed the Jabbok River with them. After taking them to the other side, he sent over all his possessions. This left Jacob all alone in the camp, and a man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. When the man saw that he could not win the match, he touched Jacob's hip and wrenched it out of its socket. Then the man said, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." "What is your name?" the man asked. He replied, "Jacob." "Your name will no longer be Jacob," the man told him. "From now on, you will be called Israel, because you have fought with God and with men and have won." "Please tell me your name," Jacob said. "Why do you want to know my name?" the man replied. Then he blessed Jacob there. Jacob named the place Peniel, which means face of God, for he said, "I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared." The sun was rising as Jacob left Peniel, and he was limping because of the injury to his hip. Even today, the people of Israel don't eat the tendon near the hip socket because of what happened that night when the man strained the tendon of Jacob's hip. Not until you bless me. Oh, that's so good. I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. Some of y'all just let go because you're tired. You let go because you thought your time would be up by now. We let go because we tired of fighting. We let go. No, I'm not letting go of you, God. And I'm not talking about letting go of things. I'm not letting go of you, God, until you bless me. I'm not letting go of you, God. I'm not moving from this place. I'm gonna keep knocking on this door. I'm gonna keep praying this same prayer until you bless me. I love it. Not gonna let you go. I also love a name change, obviously, right? My name's changed to Courage. That used to be my nickname. Now it's my legal name. Um, and when God spoke to me and told me to change my name, it was while I was reading about Abraham, actually, when he changed Abraham's name from Abram to Abraham. And it marked a difference, right? It marked a change. It marked a decision and a commitment, right? To not be, to not hold on to the things that I'd always done or who I'd always been or how people saw me or the sins of my past, but that God was doing a new thing. So I love a name change in the Bible. Chapter 33. Then Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and his two servant wives. He put the servant wives and their children at the front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then Jacob went on ahead as he approached his brother. He bowed to the ground 7 times before him. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they both wept. Then Esau looked at the women and children and asked, "Who are these people with you?" "These are the children God has graciously given to me, your servant," Jacob replied. Then the servant wives came forward with their children and bowed before him. Next came Leah with her children, and they bowed before him. Finally, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed before him. "And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came?" Esau asked. Jacob replied, They are a gift, my lord, to ensure your friendship." We don't want to buy friendship, but he buying his friendship. I ain't saying you got to buy friendship. I'm saying that he's like, you know what? I did you wrong. Let me go ahead and mull this over. You know what I'm saying? I'm just pointing out what I'm seeing. "My brother, I have plenty," Esau answered. "Keep what you have for yourself." But Jacob insisted, "No, if I have found favor with you, please accept this gift from me. And what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. Please take this gift I have brought you, for God has been very gracious to me. I have more than enough." And because Jacob insisted, Esau finally accepted the gift. Sometimes somebody trying to bless you, you got to accept it. Well, Esau said, "Let's be going. I will lead the way." But Jacob replied, "You can see, my lord, that some of the children are very young, and the flocks and herds have their young too. If they are driven too hard, even for one day, all the animals could die." Ooh, excuse me. I couldn't resist. And I've been up. I'm not sleepy, but I got a yawn. Verse 14. "Please, my lord, go ahead of your servant. We will follow slowly at a pace that is comfortable for the livestock and the children. I will meet you at Seir." "All right," Esau said, "but at least let me assign some of my men to guide and protect you." Jacob responded, "That's not necessary. It's enough that you've received me warmly, my lord." So Esau turned around and started back to Seir that same day. Jacob, on the other hand, traveled on to Succoth. There he built himself a house and made shelters for his livestock. This is why the place was named Succoth, which means shelters. Later, having traveled all the way from Padan Aram, Jacob arrived safely at the town of Shechem in the land of Canaan. There he set up camp outside the town. Jacob bought the plot of land where he camped from the family of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver, and there he built an altar and named it El Eloi Israel, which means God, the God of Israel. So before now, I don't know if you noticed, Jacob is always saying the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of my father, the God of my grandfather, the God of Jacob, the God of Isaac. He said, well, if the Lord does this thing for me and he does this and he gives me safe travel, then he will be my God. Then the God of my father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, right? That's how he said it the whole time. Now, after he's wrestled with God and he's come back to this place, now he is saying the God, he's named this place the God of Israel. And know that that is really the God of Jacob. Why am I saying that? Because he just said, your name will no longer be Jacob, the man told him. From now on, you will be called Israel. He named the place God, the God of Israel. He is now accepting God for himself, not through like just his lineage. Oh, that was my dad's. That's what my dad believed. That's what my granddaddy believed. That's they God. I mean, he all right, but I haven't accepted him for myself. This is where we see that change for Jacob. Chapter 34. This is horrible. Chapter 34. One day, Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah, went to visit some of the young women who lived in the area. But when the local prince, Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, saw Dinah, he seized her and raped her. But then he fell in love with her, and he tried to win her affection with tender words. He said to his father, Hamor, give me this young girl. I want to marry her. What? Soon Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter, Dinah. But since his sons were out in the fields herding his livestock, he said nothing until they returned. Hamor, Shechem's father, came to discuss the matter with Jacob. Meanwhile, Jacob's son had come in from the field as soon as they heard what had happened. They were shocked and furious that their sister had been raped. Shechem had done a disgraceful thing against Jacob's family, something that should never be done. Hamor tried to speak with Jacob and his sons. My son Shechem is truly in love with your daughter, he said. Please let him marry her. In fact, let's arrange other marriages too. You give us your daughters for our sons, and we will give you our daughters for your sons, and you may live among us. The land is open to you. Settle here and trade with us, and feel free to buy property in the area. Then Shechem himself spoke to Dinah's father and brothers. Please be kind to me and let me marry her, he begged. I will give you whatever you ask. No matter what dowry or gift you demand, I will gladly pay it. Just give me the girl as my wife. But since Shechem had defiled their sister, Dinah, Jacob's sons responded deceitfully to Shechem and his father, Hamor. They said to them, we couldn't possibly allow this because you're not circumcised. It would be a disgrace for our sister to marry a man like you. But here is a solution. If every man among you will be circumcised like we are, then we will give you our daughters, and we will take your daughters for ourselves. We will live among you and become one people. But if you don't agree to be circumcised, we will take her and be on our way. Hamor and his son Shechem agreed to their proposal. Shechem wasted no time in acting on this request, for he wanted Jacob's daughter desperately. Shechem was a highly respected member of his family, and he went with his father Hamor to present this proposal to the leaders at the town gate. These men are our friends, they said. Let's invite them to live among us and trade freely. Look, the land is large enough to hold them. We can take their daughters as wives and let them marry ours, but they will consider staying here and becoming one people with us only if all of our men are circumcised, just as they are. But if we do this, all their livestock and possessions will eventually be ours. Come, let's agree to their terms and let them settle here among us." So all the men in the town council agreed with Hamor and Shechem, and every male in the town was circumcised. But 3 days later, when their wounds were still sore, two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, who were Dinah's full brothers, took their swords and entered the town without opposition. Then they slaughtered every male there, including Hamor and his son Shechem. They killed them with their swords, then took Dinah from Shechem's house and returned to their camp. Meanwhile, the rest of Jacob's sons arrived. Finding the men slaughtered, they plundered the town because their sister had been defiled there. They seized all the flocks and herds and donkeys, everything they could lay their hands on, both inside the town and outside in the fields. They looted all their wealth and plundered their houses. They also took all their little children and wives and led them away as captives. Afterward, Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have ruined me. You've made me stink among all the people of this land, among all the Canaanites and Perizzites. We are so few that they will join forces and crush us. I will be ruined, and my entire household will be wiped out." "But why should we let them treat our sister like a prostitute?" they retorted angrily. So Dinah's out, looking at the lay of the land. This prince sees her, rapes her, falls in love with her, wants to marry her, wants her to be his wife. He goes to his father, tells his father this. The father goes to her dad, the dad of the raped daughter, and tells him what happened and what his son would like to do. Jacob does not immediately call his sons to let them know what he thinks is best or to hear what they think is best. He waits around for them to get home from work. They hear about it and they immediately come. And so they are pissed. They are pissed that their sister was violated, and they are pissed that they were disrespected because violating their sister disrespects them as well. They stand there waiting probably for their dad to take charge, and he does not. So the sons say, "We have an idea. You who raped our sister, who wants to marry her, we will let her marry you." Nobody talks to Dinah. No, there's no report of them asking Dinah how she feels or what she wants. They say, "We will do this if you get circumcised." Now, they always planned on killing them, but Dinah didn't know that, and neither did the dad. So the dad goes along with it. Jacob does not say a word. His sons propose that the rape can be excused, ignored, overlooked, apology accepted if they will get circumcised. The boys are the ones running this show. Jacob does not intervene. He does not say anything. Silence, okay, people? Silence is sometimes seen, especially when somebody is in the presence of you, right? I'm standing right next to you and you are saying something, and I'm actually the one that's in charge and I don't say anything. That gives the impression that I am going along with what you're saying and I am okay with the decision, with the statement, with the opinion that is being made. Okay? I ain't saying you always got to speak up, but I'm saying that silence is also not always golden. Okay? Sometimes silence is violence. All right? So he just standing there, sitting there, listening to them make this deal. He does not intervene. He doesn't say, "Let me think about it." He doesn't say, "Let me talk to the Lord about it." Nothing. The boys come up with this cockamamie idea. And he doesn't say anything, which implies that he is going along with it. Dinah, which I think we missed, is then taken into the home of Shechem. When they say, okay, circumcise yourself, they don't take their sister home with them, back home. So she is raped and sent into the home of her rapist. How do we know this? How can I be so sure that she did not go home with her brothers and her dad? That she was a virgin girl who was raped and then sent to live in the house of her rapist? How do I know that? It says verse 24 26. Let's go to verse 25. But 3 days later, when their wounds were still sore, two of Jacob's sons, and Simeon and Levi, who were Dinah's full brothers, took their swords and entered the town without opposition. They then slaughtered every male there, including Hamor and his son Shechem. They killed them with their swords, then took Dinah from Shechem's house. Dinah did not get taken from Shechem's house until after they were killed. So she might not have been raped those 3 days while they were there. They had her, he raped her, then go talk to the daddy, gonna talk to the brothers. They said what they said, then they got to go talk to the town. The town is like, okay, let's do it. I don't know what kind of town this is with these men. I don't, whatever. They do the circumcision. She's there at the house 3 days before they come in and take her out. That is just blows my mind. Now they go in, they kill everybody, they take all the things. Now Jacob speaks up. This is so frustrating to me. I'm going to keep saying every time the spirit puts it on my heart to say it, I'm going to say it because I don't know who it's for, but it's for somebody. This is descriptive text. How they handled it, lying, deceiving, killing. Now, I love a gangster response. My flesh, not my spirit. My flesh loves a gangster response. As a woman, my flesh gives a nod to them going in there killing them. Okay? I'm not saying my spirit, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just being honest, okay? But what we have to understand when we read the word is that it's not all a prescription for how we are to live our lives. It is historical, right? And so some of it is just describing to you what happened. It's descriptive, right? If you like this video, like this video. I see I got 1 like and 9 viewers. If you like this video and you're in a position to like the video, hit that like button for me. This is not telling you that this is how you respond. This is not, oh, you see how Jacob fathered his kids. This is the measure of how men should behave. Oh, you see how Simeon and Levi honored their sister. This is how we should honor when somebody. No, that's not what this is saying. It's just telling you what happened. It's not saying that it's okay. It's not saying that Jacob is going to win Dad of the Year because after his daughter got raped, he waited around for his sons to come. It's not saying that Jacob is, Father of the Year because when his sons decided, oh, this is what we should do, he went along with it and allowed his daughter to go and stay in the home of the man who had raped her. It's not saying that this is what should be done, that we should avenge ourselves and avenge those that have been hurt, and we should keep with this eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. That's not, ain't nobody gonna have no teeth left. Ain't nobody gonna have no eyes. This is not prescriptive. It's just describing what happened, and it gives us insight into the consequences of us not owning our responsibilities. It shows us the consequences of us not um of us not um standing in our roles. It shows the influence and the importance of fathers standing in their roles as fathers. It shows what happens when dads don't behave like dads, when dads don't lead the way. We can clearly see what happens when men who are supposed to be in leadership, men who are in leadership positions, when they fall short. We can see how impactful and important their roles are, right? And I think, I could give people the wrong impression because I'm a pastor and I'm a woman, and I serve women, and I'm all about women in ministry leadership. It might give some the impression that I don't value men, or I don't think that men have value, and that is absolutely not what I'm saying. It's not accurate doctrine, right? So I can't, my theology is on what I believe to be true about God, and what's important to God is based on, sound biblical doctrine. And we can see here that men are important, they are needed, and we can see the impact and the influence that they could have. The boys use their influence. They didn't use it in a good way, but they used their influence, right? They leveraged themselves and what they had. They leveraged that not to do good, but to do evil, but they use their influence. We can see how impactful influence can be. And we can see what happens when a man does not take his stand as the head of his family, and instead things are operating out of whack because the people that you've been called to lead, right? They may not be leading from the right space. So I'm not leading, even though I'm supposed to lead. And the people I'm allowing to make the decisions, they have ulterior motives, but I don't know that. And because I'm not leaned into leading, his response is reactive. His response is reactive. Now that you've done this, look, what are they going to do to us? He's more outraged about what his sons did than what the prince did. And that is certainly troublesome to me. You can read the Bible and be mad, y'all. This is not a fairy tale. This is not rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. It's not all that. It's not all sprinkles and sugar. That's not that. It's other stuff too. And so you can read the Bible and feel away, and I feel away. But make sure your feelings are not towards who they don't need to be towards, because the Lord, while everything is sifted through the hands of God, He's not condoning this. He's not speaking to them saying, "Oh, good job." And it's being reported that what they did to her should never be done. That does not mean Jacob. Jacob's lack of response, lack of leadership in protecting his daughter, or defending his daughter, or demanding justice for his daughter could give you the impression, and sometimes people will say this, look at how they treated women in the Bible, and make you feel like, oh, women were not important. But I'm going to go back, because what you have to realize is that this is descriptive of what was written, right? 34:7. Meanwhile, Jacob's sons had come in from the field as soon as they heard what had happened. They were shocked and furious that their sister had been raped. Shocked and furious. They were not like, oh, we don't care. They were not like, oh, what was she doing out there by herself? They were shocked and furious. Now, while Jacob did not do much to demand justice for his daughter, Shechem had done a disgraceful thing against Jacob's family. Shechem had done a disgraceful thing in Israel. Shechem had done a disgraceful thing against Jacob's family, something that should never be done. Do you know who wrote the book of Genesis? Moses wrote the book of Genesis. His stance that this is something that should never be done, right? That shows the cultural respect and honor for women. This is something that should never be done. He had done something disgraceful against Jacob's entire family. Not only had he violated Dinah, he disgraced the entire family. So Jacob's inability or indecision or whatever kept him from demanding justice for his daughter, godly justice for his daughter, whatever that was, should not be read as if it was just culturally acceptable or nobody cared about women getting raped. It was a disgrace and it is something that should never be done. So it wasn't even culturally accepted. It wasn't a cultural norm. And I think that because, the roles of women and their rights and their ability to own property and have property and just how things were set up culturally, sometimes in present day, when we look back, it's like somebody could easily use it to give the impression, well, God just does not care about women, or men just don't care about women, or in biblical times, like, God is such a good God, then why did he put men in charge, and like all of these things. But you can see here that this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable for women to be mistreated. It's not an okay thing. And what you do to a woman is not just what you do to her, it is a disgrace to her entire family. You have disgraced and disrespected everyone associated with her. I think we can sometimes miss this. And I think that because misogynistic views show up in every area, right? It also shows up in church because it's a human problem. It's not a theological situation, right? Misogynism is not theology. Women's rights and roles might have been different than they are now, but the way that they were treated here, right? That is not a theological stance that women are lesser or weaker or not deserving of honor, even though misogynist, the patriarchy, will sometimes use these cultural things and these descriptive things that happen to imply or to make women feel like less than. And that's not holy doctrine. That is why it is so important, not just for women, men too, but I serve women. This is why it is so important, um you know to me, to be a part of empowering, encouraging, and equipping women in learning how to rightly study the word for themselves. Because sometimes culture will magnify and make theology out of something that happened in the Bible or something that was said in the Bible, and we will take that to believe, okay, this is how we are supposed to model our life, or that is sound doctrine, or that is theologically sound. And it's not. It's just not. And one of the things we talk about often in my community is women pastors, right? Um, And some give me a pass because at this time, and I'm saying at this time because I don't know what the Lord has in store, right? But I'm saying at this time, as far as I can see from today, it is always, going to be a church for women, unless the Spirit moves for us to do something else, right? Some people will give me a pass because the congregation is women only, which makes it seem like I'm in agreement with women cannot be leaders over men, because somebody will take a verse and not really look at it. Somebody will take one verse and build theology around it. And I don't know if you know this, but that's cult building in the fight. That's cult making 101. To take one thing. That's why so many cults are rooted in, they're rooted in a verse that they can trace back to the Bible, right? You have all these Christian sects of cults and things like that, and they're rooted in the Bible. But what they've really done is they've taken one verse from the Bible, and they have made it theological. right? They've made theology from it. They've built the entire ministry around this one thing that is taken out of context. You can't take one verse and just pull it and do whatever you want to do with it. It has to be in the backdrop, not just of the verse and the chapter, but in understanding the culture and who God is. That's why being a student of God's word is a lifetime commitment. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go through a program and now I'm done. Okay, I read the Bible in a year and so now I'm done. No, we got to get better and better at understanding the story of God's redemptive love for his people as a whole, right? And looking at those pieces that we pull out and with the redemption, the redeeming power of God as the filtration system, right? Like, okay, where does this fit in God's story of redeeming his people? Because that's the story. This is a love story. And so it's just so important that we do that. And so if you are interested in building the daily habit of, studying your word, and you're just not sure, where to start, you don't have a system, then I want you to go to my website, couragemolina.org, and I want you to get the Bold Method journal for free. It's going to give you the step-by-step guide on how to interpret the word and how to get application for your life, right? And it's going to help you to build your faith one verse at a time. So now that the Bible reading is done, you can go back and choose a verse that resonated with you, or a verse that sparked your curiosity, or a verse that pissed you off. I mean, a verse that made you angry, a verse that gave you fear, a verse that gave you joy, a verse that made you feel something. You can go back to that verse and use the Bold Method to really break it down and get a deeper understanding of that verse, and start to hear the word of God. You can build your faith one verse at a time. You can go to the website couragemolina.org and download your free Bold Method journal and step-by-step guide so that you can learn how to interpret the word for yourself. I hope this has blessed you. I hope you guys are having an amazing Monday. And I will see you guys later. Okay. Love y'all. Be sure to share this. Be sure to like this video if you haven't. Even if you have to wait until it's over, then come back to like it. Be sure to like this video, and be sure to share. Maybe share this Bible reading with just one person today. Like, just hit the share button. Who can you text this video to today? All right. Love y'all. Later.